A long look at podcasting in Japan. The latest from Podnews.net with CBC Podcasts, looking for their next big podcast hit. Few people listen to podcasts in Japan. Well, why is that? And what kind of shows could work well in the country? In the first of our deep dives into different podcast markets across East and Southeast Asia, Guangjin Yo looks at the Japanese market, where Twitter is popular, copyright laws differ, and Amazon Music is number 3. The Black Listener Report was published by Edison Research with SXM Media and Mindshare. The data suggests that Black Americans are more likely to listen to podcasts monthly than the total US population, though less likely to listen weekly. YouTube's head of podcasting, Kai Chuck, is to speak today at the Hot Pod Summit in Brooklyn in New York. We're expecting an announcement about YouTube's plans for podcasting. The Pod News Weekly Review will be recorded live on stage at Podcast Movement Evolutions, March the 9th at 12 midday. Recordings are open to everyone, whatever ticket type you'll have. I will be there with Sam Sethi and guests connected to the week's news. News podcasts are highly successful. Signal Hill Insights learns more details about their audience and what we can learn from them in an article we've linked to today from our show notes and our newsletter at podnews.net. NPR is to make 100 people, 10% of its workforce, redundant. CEO John Lansing cited the erosion of advertising dollars, particularly for NPR podcasts, and the tough financial outlook for the media industry more generally. And SiriusXM has also been downgraded by investment firm Rosenblatt Securities. That's related to the impact of a slower car sales market on SiriusXM's radio product. Podcaster social media tool Wave has launched a transcription tool. You'll find details and a special offer in your email if you're registered. Spotify has announced an AI-powered radio DJ for your music. It's rolling out today for Spotify premium users in the US and Canada. Radio analyst Matt Deegan suggests they still misunderstand what a DJ does. And inventor of podcasting Dave Weiner doesn't think much of the Podcasting 2.0 name. I think, he says on Twitter, they chose a bad name. It isn't what it says it is. There was no Podcasting 1.0, that just is podcasting. I think they should come up with another, more modest, less deliberately confusing name. In People News, Ray Harkins is now Director of Podcast Sales at Sonoro Global Media Corp. He was with iHeartMedia. He'll be at Podcast Movement Evolutions. After 5 years looking after that Peter Crouch podcast, 3 years at the BBC, 2 years as an independent production, George Cottam is leaving the company. And in podcast news, Serial appears to have new artwork and is now a podcast archive of shows from Serial Productions. Serial itself is no longer available on Apple Podcasts except within this 68-episode feed, which also contains a number of other shows. Serial still has its own RSS feed with its logo if you know where to look, but that's not listed in podcast apps anymore, which is curious. New from SiriusXM today, How to Be Fine is a new self-improvement podcast hosted by Jolenta Greenberg and Kristen Meinzer. We're told the show is for anyone who feels betrayed by the advice of wellness gurus, sick of being told to visualize their goals, or adrift in a sea of betterment books offering empty productivity promises. The show replaces By the Book. And the new season of LA-ist's California Love launches today. K-pop Dreaming, telling the story of the rise and history of K-pop in the United States, as told from the point of view of the Korean diaspora in Los Angeles. Hosted by Vivian Yoon, it's also in video format on YouTube. This podcast is sponsored by CBC Podcasts, and CBC Podcasts is looking for its next premium quality narrative podcast series. Do you have a story or a partnership to pitch to CBC Podcasts? I would love to see a Pod News listener or indeed a Pod News reader doing exactly that. So go and check out cbc.ca/pitch. That's cbc.ca/pitch. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.